In this video, I've got 3 pickup truck side hustles that don't require licensing, a lot of training, and are relatively inexpensive to start. And just like with some of my other pickup truck side hustle videos, these are unusual ideas that are kind of hiding in plain sight, and you can make a lot of money just having a pickup truck and low startup costs to get these things going. So let's get started. Also, if you're new to the channel, my name is Adam Zwingler, and this channel is dedicated to helping people get into the trades. There's a lot of money to be made in the trades, and there's a ton of stupid people running off into higher education and not realizing you could actually make hundreds of thousands of dollars in the trades. Just coming out of the gate, if you start small and build a successful small business, you can make a lot of money. So if you're interested in learning how to do that and discovering good business ideas, consider liking and subscribing. Okay, on to business idea number 1, and that is drain cleaning. Plumbing is a complex craft that requires years of education, training, and professional experience. But what if there was a subsector of plumbing that didn't require all of those years of education, training, and licenses, but still offered the same super high pay? And that's where drain cleaning comes in and offers basically the best of both worlds. Here's 4 things you probably didn't know about drain cleaning that will probably put this high on your radar. The first is you need limited tools. In fact, there's really only one tool you need, which is a main line. This is the tool that actually unclogs the drains. I recommend a rigid K1500. You could actually go with the smaller model, which is a rigid K50, and that will still unclog 90% of drains. The other piece of equipment that's actually a really good piece of equipment to have is a sewage camera. And those, I'm gonna break down the costs on these, but that is also a very valuable tool to be able to show that you've actually unclogged it before you leave the job. You can charge extra for that. It's totally worth buying. Second, it's extremely lucrative. As you'll see in the chart breakdowns below, I actually break down exactly how much you can make in drain cleaning. It takes a while to learn this craft. It takes a while to learn how to unclog drains, but once you know how to do it, it's amazing how much money you can make. Third, there's no plumbing license that's needed. In many of the states, including Canada, you actually don't need a plumbing license. And you don't need the 4 years of apprenticeship to learn how to do the job. And fourth, there's cheap startup costs. As you'll see in the charts below, you need really around $5,000 to get drain cleaning business started. Assuming you've got a pickup truck, there's really no other expenses outside of that. So let's break down the startup costs, and the list is very short. It's 4 things. First thing you need is a pickup truck. We're assuming you already probably have a pickup truck. Second thing is you need a main line. We recommend the rigid K1500. It runs you about $2,700 brand new. You could probably pick up a used one for half that. Thirdly, you need a sewage camera. I highly recommend a sewage camera. You can actually upcharge a couple $100s per job if you have a sewage camera. We're gonna get into that, but that would actually run you about $2,500 brand new. And then of course you just need like a bag of tools. All of that runs you probably around $5,500, $5,500. Really not that expensive. Even if you buy everything brand new, you're still sitting at just over $5,000. So let's take a look at the revenue and expenses on a business like this. We're gonna quickly break it down. So if you go out and you unclog somebody's drain, you can typically charge about $500. Let's just say $450 to unclog the drain. You could also charge several $100s more if you run a sewage camera down through there, set up a viewing and show them what you've actually done and show them that you've actually unclogged their drains. It's totally worth the sewage camera because it's an added piece of value that essentially will allow you to charge more. So if you add those two together, come up with $750 per job is what on average you're going to charge to go out and unclog drains for somebody. Assuming that you do 2 jobs per day, that ends up being about $1,500 per day that you can actually make doing drain cleaning. And if you add that up over the course of a week, it's $7,500. If you take that one step further, your revenue per month, which is $7,500 times 4.23, 4.23 is the average amount of weeks there are in a month. That works out to be a little over $31,000 per month that you can charge cleaning drains. And if you multiply that out over 12 months, you can make upwards of $380,000 cleaning drains without a license, without 4 years of apprenticeship. That is about as good as it gets in the plumbing industry. Okay, let's take a look at the expenses. And I will tell you this, in the comments, I always get reamed for not listing out all the expenses. Guys, there's more expenses than what I'm gonna list out here. I'm just giving you a high level overview. Just know there's probably another 15 other expenses in any one of these videos that I'm not gonna list out, but I'm gonna give you the biggest bucket categories. So the first one is you've got truck maintenance, which can probably run you about $5 grand a year just in truck maintenance. Then you got fuel. You'll probably dump at least $10,000 a year into fuel depending on how much you drive. You've also got insurance. I'm assuming you're probably going to spend about $1,000 a month on insurance. That adds up to about $12,000. Then you've got admin and overhead. And you probably don't want to hire a girl in-house to answer the phones for you. That's going to be way too expensive. It's going to chew into your bottom line. What you really want to do is just hire a call center. A call center like Pat Live. Look up PATLIVE, Pat Live. They're a call center. They can follow a script. They can answer the phone for you. They can answer the phone on your behalf. People don't even know that it's a call center. They'll schedule appointments for you. That's the way you want to go. And I'm assuming that you'll probably spend about 10 grand a year in the beginning, just having somebody answer the phones and do general admin work for you. And then lastly, you've got marketing expenses. If you really want to build this business, if you really want to get a bunch of leads coming in and people interested in having stuff done, you need to claw your way to the top of Google by getting a whole bunch of Google reviews in that first year. And you need to dump a lot of money into being at the top of the map section, which is where everybody goes to make decisions on where to hire people for services like this. If you add all that up, it comes to $57,000 in expenses. Even if the expenses balloon up closer to, let's say, $80,000, there's still potentially $300,000 of profit in a drain cleaning business. And that's why I think it's an awesome alternative to plumbing or electrical, anything that requires 4 years of training, licenses, and education. Let's move on to business idea number 2, which is a dead animal removal company. And guys, there's not a lot of people that want to do this, but I will tell you this. Outside of a pickup truck and a shovel, you almost don't need any equipment in order to make over $100,000 a year driving out and removing small to large dead animals off the road from people's houses. You'd be amazed how much money you can actually make just doing this dirty job. So let's go ahead and break down the numbers. Take a look at how much money you can make offering a dead animal removal service in your area. So before I start breaking down the numbers, you probably didn't know this, but you can actually make on average $91,000 a year just going out and removing dead animals from properties and roads. And if you've been in the business for a while, you can actually make upwards of $127,000 a year offering dead animal removal. Pretty damn good numbers when you actually consider the fact that you don't need any training, any licenses. There's nothing to learn. You just drive out and remove the dead animals. So let's go ahead and break down how much it actually costs to remove small animals, medium-sized animals, and large animals. So let's take a look at the average cost to remove dead animals. And based on our research, if you're removing small to medium-sized animals, you can typically charge anywhere between $150 to $250 to remove an animal. And if it's a mid to larger animal, that number can go up closer to $250 to $500. I'm assuming if you're moving a deer or an elk or something like that, it's probably gonna be closer to $500 to remove that dead animal. Once again, pretty damn good numbers considering the fact that you don't need any formal education or training to do this job. So let's go ahead and break down the revenue and expenses on a dead animal removal company. Assuming that the average cost to remove a dead animal works out to be about $275, and assuming also that you can remove about 3 dead animals a day, those numbers work out to be $825 per day to go out and remove dead animals. And if you multiply that over the course of a week, 5 days of working, you're making on average $4,125 per week going out and shoveling dead animals off the road and removing them. Take it a step further, and you can potentially make $17,449 per month, and take that even a step further more, and you can make $209,000 a year shoveling dead animals off the road, removing them from houses, stuff of that nature. If you start your own business, build up your Google reviews, build up your Google listing, and people start finding you and you start going out and removing dead animals. Now, giving you just a basic overview of expenses, there aren't a lot of expenses in a business like this. You got truck maintenance, I put that at $5,000. You got fuel expenses, I put that at $10,000. You got insurance, I put that at $12,000. It's probably not even $12,000. You've got admin and overhead, I'm assuming maybe $5,000 a year. All of that adds up to about $32,000 in expenses. You can potentially net $177,000 a year if you're working for yourself. If you're working for somebody else, maybe $100,000 a year, $127,000 a year, something in that nature. If you're working for yourself, scheduling your own appointments, maybe another $50,000 more a year at $177,000 a year. But very intriguing business model. Nobody wants to talk about dead animal removal, but guess what? Nobody's thinking about it. Maybe there's an opportunity in your small town or your city to go out and remove dead animals. A couple closing thoughts that are worth mentioning. You need to be okay being the butt of a few jokes if you're going to start a business like this. There's going to be people that joke and laugh behind your back about what you do for a living. But on the flip side, $200,000 a year to go out and do such a basic job is probably worth it for the right person. Lastly, I would recommend investing into a trailer that has a hydraulic system that allows the trailer to go up and down. You want a trailer that can drop down so that you can slide the dead animals onto the trailer, lift it up, and take it away instead of trying to lift those dead animals into the trailer. So if you're going to start a business like this, that would be my one word of wisdom, is just go out and invest into a hydraulic trailer. Okay, let's move on to business idea number 3. So now we're going to take a look at a land surveying business. Here's the number one reason why a land surveying company made it into our list of best pickup truck side hustles. And the first fundamental reason is that there is just a massive shortage of land surveyors. In fact, our general consensus as we're starting to build a land business is that whenever you call a surveying company, they are almost always 1 to 3 months booked out. A lot of them won't even answer their phone. I'd say if you call 10 of them, 8 of them won't even answer their phone. 2 that do answer their phone will tell you that they're booked up 1 to 3 months out. So there's stupid demand. There's not enough people doing surveying, land surveying. And if you niche down into such a simple category, you can make really good money. There's a lot of people that need it done. And it kind of offers the best of both worlds. You get some time in the office doing more administrative stuff, and then you get some time in your pickup truck and out on job sites. And that is a good mixture for the right person that doesn't want to be grinding away and beating their body up every single day. So what exactly is land surveying? Well, there's a lot of services that you can offer in land surveying, but at a basic fundamental level, let's take a look at what land surveying actually is. So at a basic fundamental level, land surveying a lot of times is basically somebody coming to you with a larger piece of land and they say, hey, I've got this, let's say 40-acre parcel, and I want to take that 40-acre parcel and turn it into 4 10-acre parcels, or they just want to split it down into something smaller. In order for them to do that, they usually need to have a land survey done. That's where you can potentially come in. And guess what? There's really good money in land surveying. The average land surveying charge runs anywhere between $2,000 and $20,000 to take a larger piece of land, split it up into smaller pieces of land. So there's great money to be made in it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the revenue and the expenses on a land surveying business to give you an idea of what you could potentially make if you're interested in starting a business in land surveying and building a small team around it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the revenue. And let's assume that you get into very simple subdivides to start out. You're just taking 40 acres, turning it into 4 10 acres, stuff like that. The average land survey will probably run about $3,000. And let's assume that you can do about 4 of those in a week with a small team, a couple people helping you. So you can do $3,000 jobs, 4 of them a week. That ends up being about $12,000 a week. And if you multiply that out over the course of a month, that's about $50,000 in revenue. And if you multiply that out even more over an entire year, it's $609,000 that you can potentially charge doing land surveying for people that want to split up land. When it comes to expenses, I'm going to list out a decent amount of expenses here just to give you an idea. There's pickup truck maintenance. That's running at $5,000. Let's just assume that you got about $10,000 in fuel. Let's assume, once again, you got about $12,000 in insurance. You're going to have software and licensing. That's probably going to run you about $20,000, $25,000. You're going to have marketing expenses. That's also going to run you $20,000, $25,000. You want to make sure that you're at the top of Google, just like with any of these service-based businesses. Your total equipment is going to be $10,000. I would even maybe bump that closer to $20,000. And assuming you have 2 employees that are really helping you get out to these pieces of land and do the surveying that needs to be done, that could run you $140,000. That's a pretty big chunk of change. You don't need 2 employees, but I feel like a land surveying company will run more smoothly if you have a couple people helping you. And then you've got rent. Those are some of the main bucket categories. I'm sure there's more expenses, but all of that adds up to $251,000. And if you subtract $600 and something thousand from $251,000, you're going to end up with about $350,000 of pure profit at the end of every year. Maybe these numbers aren't completely accurate, but there's still really good money to be made in the land business, and everybody that's in it is booked out at least 1 to 3 months. Many of them are so booked out, they're not even answering their phones. That's why it's a good pickup truck side hustle. If you're smart enough to know how to do land surveying and you're engineer-minded and you're willing to kind of learn it, there's really good money to be made in land surveying right now. A couple final closing thoughts on this business. You're probably going to need at least 1 assistant. This is just the kind of business where you don't really want to be out just doing it by yourself. You really should have at least one other person that's helping you. If you go into land surveying, there is some expensive equipment that you're going to need. I didn't really dive into that in this video, but expect $20,000 to $50,000 of startup costs. And then there's also monthly reoccurring $400 or $500 a month just for satellite imagery licensing software that you're going to need. So there's some expenses here. If you're going to start this kind of a side hustle or this kind of a business, really look into the startup cost, because I feel like of all these ideas, this one probably has the most startup costs, but it's a really, really good idea if you want to go into an industry that is very, very short staffed on the amount of people that are actually doing it. That wraps up this video. And if you've liked this video, I'm going to link another video up here in the corner that will actually break down some other really good ideas. This video hasn't gotten a lot of views. I highly recommend it though. At least as of right now, it's got 50 likes and no down likes. So everybody that's watched this video has up-liked it, and it just hasn't gotten a lot of views. And I don't know why, because it's got really good ideas. So I'll go ahead and link that one. On to the next.